Okay, I think you're
All
good
right.
to go.
Perfect. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Legislative and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shields.
Here.
Councilmember Lovell. Councilmember Pryor.
Here. Sorry, I was waiting for my video to start since I know we have to do that now. So
Mayor Baird.
Oh, John Lovell he's in the waiting room. I'm admitting him now. There we go.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the mayor's having some audio issues or.
Can Councilmember Lovell hear?
Yep.
Okay, so you're here?
I am, sorry.
So,
No, that's fine.
worries.
So now we just need to hear from Mayor Baird and we're good to start the business. Because we also want to make sure he can hear us, right?
There it is.
Mayor Baird, are you present? Oh, you're muted somehow. Can we just do a visual? Because we know he's here.
He just said, hold on. Well, we can go ahead and get started because
okay.
We have a quorum and he's clearly on here.
We know he's here.
Okay. Okay, so the first item of business is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
Motion. I move to approve the agenda.
second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lovell, second by Councilmember Pryor, and just a reminder, you will need to turn on your video for our to meet our city rules requirements. But yes, can we go ahead and get a vote on that?
Councilmember Lovell.
Aye.
Mayor Baird. Councilmember Shields.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
Can Mayor Baird give a thumbs up if he's good to go? There we go.
Okay.
We'll take that.
All right. Okay, the agenda's been approved. Did we have any public comments today?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Then our next item is approval of the March 13th action letter. Can I get a motion?
Motion. I move to approve the action letter.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Lovell, second by Councilmember Pryor. Can we get a vote on that?
Mayor Baird. Maybe a thumbs up if you're good or thumbs down if you're not.
Wait, hang on.
Okay.
He just re-entered in a different,
Okay.
maybe the phone instead of the app.
Connecting to audio.
Okay. We can't, but you're on there twice. I don't know why. Oh, one went away. There we go.
All right. Sorry about that, everybody.
Oh, that's okay. So you okay for the action letter?
Yes.
Councilmember Shields.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
And Councilmember Lovell.
Aye.
All right. Next item on our agenda will be review of the lobbyist report, which I believe Mr. Head will lead. And I do just want to note that I've got a hard stop at 12:30 today, which I'm pretty sure we'll be able to meet just fine, but just want to put that on your radar. So, Mr. Head?
I don't have a whole lot of information beyond what was in your packet this last time. So there are a couple of areas. One of them is, and these are highlights that our lobbyists hit and that are in the email that came to you, but I want to hit a little bit of these and give you a little more background about a couple of them. There's the video service provider bill. If you recall, this is the bill that is looking to sort of circumvent a lawsuit that is going on out there right now that would require the streaming service providers to pay taxes to cities. The lawsuit apparently, from what I understand, is not going well for the streaming companies, and it looks like, and it's with Creve Corps is who the city is, and so there is a big push right now in the legislature to preempt that lawsuit, so the cities won't start collecting any revenue from the streaming service providers. Another potential amendment to this bill, and I just heard about this from Richard Sheets last week, is there are some folks who are wanting to go ahead and reopen the small, we had a few years ago, we had a small cell tower provider, so the small cell provider legislation that allowed for those, really it enabled some of the rollout of 5G, because those are much smaller towers generally that cover a smaller area. There is some discussion right now as to whether or not there's a sunset coming in 2025 for that bill. And the question ultimately is, do you want to reopen that bill and relitigate it and renegotiate it? Or do we just simply want to say, no, just go ahead and kick out that sunset for a period of time? And MML's advice is, with the current makeup of the legislature being very hostile to cities, we are unlikely to gain anything with new legislation. So their preference is to just extend that sunset on out a little while, and in another 5, 6, 8 years, and see where we are then with the legislature, and maybe trying to take another swing at that. So that is probably something that is going to be in the works. You'll see in here, and I haven't talked to our lobbyists specifically about this, but House Bill 909, of course, has gotten over to the Senate side. Jim says he's been counting votes on the Senate side. He absolutely believes that if it gets to the floor, that there would be the votes for 909. And if you don't remember, 909 is the landfill bill that extends that distance where we could assert some jurisdiction. It extends it from a half mile to a mile. His concern, though, is whether or not it's actually going to be able to make it to the floor. There are a lot of bills that are coming over, and the Senate isn't moving very fast, apparently. And this is one of 47 House bills. This is what he has in his email. This is one of 47 House bills that has come over to the Senate, and none of them have been assigned to committee yet. So I know one of our local senators, or more local senators, has basically signaled, he signaled that he wasn't really in favor of it, but he wasn't going to speak in opposition. But then more recently, I've heard that Greg Razor has spoken more positively about it. So I'm not sure if maybe a little pressure there might help get it into a committee and then onto the floor. I'm not sure. But it does, according to Jim, he does think that we have votes to do it, but it's just a matter of getting it to the floor in time. And then another one that he hit was Senate Bill 131. This one is it exempts guns and ammunition, but it also, I believe this is the one that also exempts food sales from even local sales taxes. And the cost of that to cities statewide is exceptionally high, because most cities do not exempt food in the way the state does. So that's one that is being watched closely, and Jim has made special note of. And then at one point, I just asked him, because I thought it was interesting from a governmental standpoint, to start tracking the Joint Resolution 43, which changes it would require a constitutional amendment to change the percentage of voters required for any kind of initiative petition. So I just asked him what his thoughts were on that, but it looks like that one will probably be filibustered. That's one that apparently the Democrats in the Senate have drawn the line on, and they've filibustered heavily. So I didn't really have any others to hit. I just wanted to give you a couple of details that I heard on some of these. It still looks like we got a lot of bills on there, but I think we are rapidly approaching the point where the number of bills that conceivably could pass is becoming increasingly limited. The thing we have to watch for is some of these bills that did have a hearing, the substance getting thrown over into a big omnibus bill of some kind. But with that, I would be happy to pause for questions and see if I know the answers.
Thank you, Mr. Head. Do we have any questions from the committee? So I had a couple of questions. You already touched on the status of the landfill bill, which I know we're still getting a lot of constituent engagement on. So we're just waiting to see if that will get a hearing in the Senate. I assume, I mean, you're in conversations, though, obviously know it's a priority. Is there anything else that you're looking for from us, or just a general status update there?
No, it's just a general status update. I will tell you on 909 and that whole landfill issue in general, Law Department is still sort of evaluating kind of when would be the most opportune time for us to have that half-mile hearing, you know, that they've already had down in the area. There's already been one of those. But I have some concerns about exactly when we do that and when is the most appropriate time from a legal perspective. And so David and I have been discussing that kind of quite a lot. I don't know that we've come up with a good answer. I think it still is fully our plan to recommend to you that we hold that hearing. It's really just a question of timing and what the best timing is. Because, you know, if we have a situation where the statute is changed, do we need to do another one later if the statute actually changes? Is there, you know, there are just some other questions about how we make sure that the legality of that hearing, whatever we do, holds up the best way possible. And right now there is no application, so we would be holding a hearing based upon basically something we've heard about, but we don't have any concrete, I don't have any concrete plans that have been shared publicly. So there may be some reasons for us to hold off. There may be reasons for us to go forward. We may end up recommending that to you fairly soon, but as of right now, I would just rather hold and see where this legislation goes and then figure out the most opportune time for us to begin to take some of those actions.
Okay, I appreciate the update. And then the other one that I had a question on was, have we heard anything more about funding for the State Highway Patrol relocation?
Yeah, the issue there that we're having is they have not yet found a vehicle and they haven't really found a source of funding. MoDOT has indicated they have all the money in this that they're going to have in it, and they're not going to increase funding for it. So there has to be a legislative vehicle for it, and you know we have to have a source of funding. And without MoDOT being willing to provide that funding, it's basically going to have to come from general fund. And you know, we didn't get included in the governor's general fund kind of requests this year. So we have a little bit of an uphill battle to try to get that in something. But Jim indicates that he's, you know, they're still looking for an appropriate vehicle. And I know Mayor and David and Mark, there have been a lot of conversations about, you know, where the funding can come from. I just don't know that we have a solution yet for that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Head. Do we have any other questions from the committee members? Seeing none, is there anything else you wanted to add, Mr. Head?
No, that was really all I had. I didn't go through, you know, I didn't want to go through the whole thing this time because, like I said, I think we're getting to the point where we have the time is running out for them to start adding a lot. I mean, they've legitimately got about, what, 5 more weeks, maybe 5.5, before the session is over. I did want to ask you all one thing. Our lobbyist contract, it provides that he will do 2 updates a year, like sort of in person. What would you think if we were to, our next meeting will be right before the end of the session for this committee. what would you think if we had, we asked him, invited him to come and give you an update and be able to answer questions of you all at that next meeting? And then once the session is over, he will come and give an end of session report, but that won't come probably till about July after the veto session and all of that. So what would you think about us inviting him to give a report to this committee, maybe as the interim report? I didn't think of it. Normally, right around spring break or a little before spring break time for the legislature, we try to get Mr. Durham to come out to Lee Summit and do an in-person update. I think last year we may have even done the final one we did via Zoom. But I almost think at this point it would be just as valuable for you all to have that update and then have him do an end of session update. It's just a thought, maybe something we could do.
I mean, that sounds fine to me. Does anyone on the committee have any particular thoughts? I'm seeing thumbs up, so yeah, if you want to invite him for our next meeting, sounds great.
I'll reach out to him and see if he would happen to be available for a meeting.
Okay. All right, I think if we're all wrapped up on the lobbyist reports, then the next item is roundtable. Do we have any roundtable items from anyone? Mayor Barrett?
Hey there,
Yes.
can you hear?
Yep.
So last week, went to Washington, D.C. and for the NLC, National League of Cities. And we did have a Hill Day where we visited our Representative Cleaver and then Senator Schmidt, as well as Senator Hawley. And we tried to, we always go with the same type of intention to build a relationship and just talk about the needs of Lee Summit, and because we are different, every community is unique. And we didn't get to actually, the NLC was a good event. They had some nice work sessions. I went to one in particular, was about grants, federal grants, how to apply and get in the game. And then general session was very good. They have some nice themes for to unite around, such as homelessness and things of that nature. They had some action items. But the Hill Day visits, sadly, we didn't actually get to meet with any of the representatives or senators. Representative Cleaver had knee surgery, so he was not able to attend. And then the other senators didn't. They just had staff meet with us, which is fine. We just try to build a relationship with staffers the best we can. Most of the time, staffers are not from Kansas City. They're from other parts of the country, and they work in Washington, D.C. So it's a little tough because you're trying to talk to them about local issues, and they're not really local. But we did our best, and it was definitely worth it. It helps if we can learn how each senator or representative works. And I believe that Representative Cleaver is going to meet with us in person to make up for the fact that he wasn't there in DC for us to meet with him. So that's nice. He's going to do it locally. I did go with full presentation ready to go for each one of them as far as requests for appropriations. But both senators declined to any kind of appropriation recommendation, or they sometimes say, "Oh, we don't believe in earmarking." But Cleaver does, and Cleaver has championed a lot of money to go to a lot of our communities around us, and we need to get in the game with him. So that's why we're going to meet with him in person to talk to him about that, because there's still a lot of federal funding that is up for grabs, and not all of it goes through grants, even though they'll all tell you to go. That's what all the senators told us. at least their staffers did, which is, oh, there's plenty of grants to apply for. Well, 470 expansion would be $140 million, and there's no grants out there, for 1/10 of that, let alone all of it. So that was kind of our experience. It was again, it was a good experience. I'm glad we all went. There were numerous of us out there. City Manager Dunning went with us. Mayor Pro Tem Lopez, Councilmember Fred DeMoro, and Councilmember Phyllis Edson. So there's always really nice little nuggets you get from each work session and more. And you learn a lot whenever you go inside each senator or representative's office. And so it was a good trip. So.
Just,
that report, Mayor.
Chair,
Level.
the last government relations meeting, Senator Hawley's representative who's in Kansas City was there. I actually met with him. I've got his contact information. He's actually located here. So if you want that information, I'm certainly happy to pass that along.
Yeah, I heard about that. Exciting. If they're getting involved, like that, coming to Chamber Governmental Relations meeting, that's wonderful. We need to build that relationship. So I'm glad that you met with him. That's awesome. And yes, I would like that contact info. So.
Because I think I told him, I said, I don't know what they're doing in DC. I know they're going this week. He's like, well, if you give me the heads up and let me know what you guys are looking to do or what you're, trying to accomplish or whatever, I can certainly be that conduit or at least try to help get you in front of the right people. So I think he'll be a good contact for us moving forward.
Yep. That's great. Because yeah, that would be wonderful. Well, they had some really good couple of people meet with us from his office. They're usually typically pretty young, the staffers are. So
yeah, this guy's young.
But when we went to Senator Schmidt's office, the young person was very friendly, but when we asked him some other questions, it was just kind of above his pay scale. So he got a little, not that it was bad meeting, but he got a little flustered. And and we were trying to be, we weren't asking questions. It was just, it's just challenging. So yeah, we want talking to somebody that's boots on the ground, that's local, is much preferred. So.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Lovell and Mayor Baird. Do we have any other comments for Roundtable? Okay, seeing none, I believe we can go ahead and adjourn at 11:56. Thank you all for attending.
Before everybody leaves, I just want to give a big shout out and appreciation for City of Joplin. I called in a favor from the ITS director here, and Nick popped by a minute ago, Mayor. I don't know if you were on here when he popped in, but I had a doctor's appointment down here today. Believe it or not, I've kept my same family doctor that I've had for 25 years. It's just painful not to have to change doctors. So I had to come down to see him today, and it was super helpful to have a location where they had the technology. He just plugged me right in, no problem. So I really appreciate them for doing that. And I wanted to let you know why I kind of wasn't in my normal spot, and I wasn't sure how things were going to work today, but I just want to give them a shout out.
And thank you for being flexible on the meeting date, and thank you all for adjusting your calendars as well. And sorry, Mayor Baird.
I was just going to say, I'm sorry, I'm in my car. I am stopped. But,
it's going to give you.
I could not get my client to let me go. I just kept telling them, I have to go, I have a Zoom call, I have a Zoom call. And they just kept talking, and the client's always right. That's the problem. So that's why.
Not always. I was going to give you
Shields.
grief for not wearing your seatbelt, Mayor, but since you're not driving, it's okay.
I'm parked out in the middle of
Councilmember Shields.
Uh-huh.
The next meeting date is May 8th at 11:30, which is a Monday. She may have left.
No, she's here.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. I can't see everybody this time like last time.
Okay, so next meeting, May 8th at 11:30.
Yes.
All right. Oh, I will see you all then, if not before.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Everyone.
Bye.
All right.
See y'all.
you.